The question was, now that I've mounted this on the, I'm going to repeat this so it's on the video. Mounted it on the chuck inside that tapered hole, can it come off? And it was when I used the tool rest right up next to it, it can't, because if I loosen this up now, it's going to run right into the tool rest, and I can't get it to come off. So I don't worry about that. So I snug this up just enough so that it gives me a nice tight feel in there, but not so tight that I end up with this big huge groove inside. And so now we'll turn the bottom, and we'll really do that about the same way we did the top. Now at this point you have to decide, do you want to put a foot on it, or do you want to just make it a flat bottom? And I've done it both ways. I sent one around earlier that had a foot on it. This one I'll send around has just got a flat bottom on it, and I've used the bottom. I don't have a feel one way or the other which I like better. A foot will make it stand off a little bit if you want that thing to look like it's lifted off your counter or table. Then you might want to put a foot on it. I think it's easier just to put a flat and recess the tenon a little bit. My goal always is I don't want to have anything on the bottom that somebody can determine how I chucked it. So I'm going to make sure all of my chucking marks are gone, because I don't want anybody to say, oh, that's how he held it on the lathe. I don't want them to know that. So I'm going to, if I put a foot on, I'm still going to decorate the bottom so you can't tell how I originally chucked it. And that's my goal. And even when I do bowls, I don't want anybody to be able to tell how I chucked it when it's done. So I will always try and eliminate any chucking marks. So in this one, we're just going to round this down a little bit. And I want to take this a little bit thinner. This is where I stop and start evaluating what these points look like. Do I want them thinner than this? Am I happy with the way they look? In general, I like the look, so I think we'll probably stick with that. Now I know that I've got probably at least 3/8 of an inch from the bottom into the bottom of the other side of so I don't need to worry about going through the bottom of this at all. I started with a 2-inch or 8/4 block of wood, and the height of that glass is only an inch, and I'm down maybe 1/8 of an inch, so I got 1 1/8 inch, and I've taken off maybe a little more than 1/8 of an inch on the bottom. So I got plenty of room inside I don't need to worry about. What I want to make sure is that I'm recessed, and that's not enough of a recess. if it warps at all, I don't want to rock. I want anything that I've done on the bottom, I want a nice flat bottom so it sits solid on the table. Question is, why am I concerned about a recess? I just and so I like that. That's okay. It'll sit on that nicely. I'm going to use my scraper again. And you can see the shavings I get off this are so much different than what you get from a gouge. You get this fine hair-like shavings that really clean up that surface. And particularly on hardwood, it works so well. And you can go either direction. And I like that. I would now sand that. I'm going to decorate the bottom a little bit. Again, I'm just going to put some grooves in it. And now that's pretty well done. It would be sanded, cleaned up. I don't like these points. They're coming and scooping up a little bit, so I want to make one more cut. It's the proverbial last cut. And as I look at it, the bottom shape is real close to the top shape. So it's I'm going to sand the sides, and I'm going to show you how I do that. So any questions on how we get here? Okay. It is slightly radius this way. Where can I? So I'll pass it around. I'm done with it now. Okay, so we'll take this off. The inside's nice. I don't see any major groove in there. Take the chuck off. Now, if you've got a disc sander at home, that works really well. That's what we're going to use here. But it's going to be a homemade disc sander. And all I've done is I've taken a 1-inch rod, I drilled it and tapped for a bolt and put a piece of flat wood on top, and it gives me this great platform. And now I will sand each of these sides. And if you remember when I talked earlier about these points not being the same diameter or the same distance across, these are pretty close. There's a couple here that are a little bit wide. So what you do is you take the smallest ones and you sand those to make them wider. So in this case, this one looks like it's the smallest side. I'm just going to give it a little extra sanding.
What grid are you using?
That's 120, but I will change that and go all the way up to 400. I don't have big discs like that for all of them. This is a 220 disc I have on here now. And I will just go around and sand each side a little bit, turn it over. And there it is. Any questions?
How do you finish it?
Okay, finishing. My favorite method of finishing these is a peel buffer. Has anybody seen this in action? You want to see how it works?
You've put what on it so far if you're doing one?
I start with triple E.
What do you have on the piece already? Just sanding still?
I just have sanding sealer, right. With a little fine coat of sanding sealer as I'm doing it. Then I buff it with triple E, white diamond, and carnauba wax. And that's how I finish all of these. And those that I've passed around that are finished are all done that way. The only thing you have to be careful of is this thing tends to grab and it will throw things around a bit. Some of you know that I make small off-center turn ducks. And I have one that's still missing in the garage that it grabbed and it threw it, and I don't know where it is. It's been a year. I haven't found it yet. So, do you want to see how this works? Does anybody want to see it? Okay. I'm sorry? Oh, sanding disc. This is a buffing wheel that I got from Amazon, and it comes with 3 or 4 different buffing pads that stick on because it's got Velcro on it. And you buy these from Amazon for, I think it was like $10 or $12, and you get 2 discs and 3 or 4 buffing pads. And it's for buffing out a car. And it's got a thread on the back side that fits onto an auto buffer. I think this thread is 5/8 11. It's kind of an unusual thread. So I went out and went over to the local hardware store and bought some 5/8 11 bolts and just made a chuck to hold this. And I've been surprised at how much I use this thing. I'm sorry? I work my way through the grits. This one here is 220, and I bought these now up through 400. So I just pull these things off, put another one on. Yeah, I did, because this disc is small enough so there was Velcro around the outside. So if I could find some more discs that fit absolutely perfect, I'd go buy some. But I like these discs, Abernet sandpaper, a lot. I buy it on Amazon because it's cheapest there. And so, David. Oh, wow. I don't know if you could hear him. He has a friend who made him a Morris taper with a 5/8 11. Oh, best tool guys.
Are they gonna have a spot? Will they have a spot? BEST.
Yeah, that they're they will be at SWAT again this year. I know that.
Best woodworking, or what are they? Best.
So that's great. Then you don't have to make one. It's a lot cheaper to make them, but but then you get one that'll run really true. Yeah, and this one has, this has a little bit of a wobble to it, but it's not enough that I care. So one of the reasons I like these, if you go to a normal disc sander, you turn it on and it's running at 3,500 RPM, and I can run this at 100 or I can run it at 1,200. This thing says it's got a limit on the speed at 1,200. I have another one at home and it has a limit of 3,500. So, John. I'm sorry. How do I preset? Oh, no, what I do for cutting the cords is I take it to the bandsaw and I cut right outside the line. That's all I do. And most of the ones that are cut here, some of them you can still see the line on. This is one you can. And I've just sanded them a little bit to try and make sure they're nice and square before I use this method for sanding. But I just cut them on the bandsaw. Yeah, thank you for asking. I forgot to mention that. Any other questions? Okay, let's hook the buffer up. By the way, while I'm thinking about it, June 25th, we're going to have an open shop at Peter Tack's place. And you got his shop back. I don't know if you all know that he had a fire and lost it a lot. But we're gonna set up and turn these things, and I'll have glass and blanks there. So if somebody wants to show up and make one, we'll be all set up to do that. We'll have 3 or 4 lathes going, at least 3. Peter's got a big one. And we may have 2 others. So 9 o'clock at Peter's shop on the 25th. And then I'm going to offer another challenge tonight in that I've got lots of glass with me. And I'd like to have 10 people volunteer to make one and bring it back at the next meeting. So if you're interested in doing that, come and get a piece of glass. Use any kind of wood that you want to, preferably nice hardwood. And you can see how we did it tonight. And so think about it. Next meeting is at the 4th, is on the 4th of July. Yes. I believe that's true, isn't it, Sam? So we'll be done in plenty of time for fireworks.
I'll be in Colorado.
Okay, let's finish buffing this real quick, and then we'll. Okay. Triple E. And all I do is I run this at about 2,000 RPM and I put a light coat on. White diamond, just a light coat. Carnauba wax, just a light coat.
So those brand new wheels.
These wheels have been around for 6 or 8 years. So what I will do is I'll do the back side and a couple of the sides so you can see the difference. So once you get the Excuse me? Yeah, I gotta hold this thing tight because this thing will grab. Now remember, I didn't spend a lot of time sanding this, so this finish is going to be unsanded finish. That's my excuse and I'll stick with it, yeah. So I have not buffed the top. Here's the glass that was in there. Where do you want it? So you can see that's the bottom. And there's the top. You can see the difference in the shine and the texture. And I don't have sanding sealer or anything on it, so it does a nice job. And it's fast, quick.